Hey everybody, my name is Matt. Welcome to my video where I share my thoughts of having the new Everfrost 2 cooler for the last 5 days. Anker sent me the smaller of the two sizes, the 40, to test. I'm a current owner of the previous smallest size, the 30. Now, I gotta tell you, Anker did send this to me free of charge. Their only requirement was that I post a few videos to the Anker Facebook group and that my thoughts are, quote, authentic and original. So other than the cooler itself, I've received no compensation for this review or my thoughts. My goal in this video is to tell you what I like about this cooler and share some of the hands-on observations. If you haven't had a powered cooler before, I think there's two main reasons to consider getting one. The first, and I think the biggest reason, is that they use no ice. Not only do you gain all that space back from not filling it with ice, you don't have to worry about it melting, going to buy more ice, refilling it, etc. Because of this, the actual storage space can be as much as 50% less than a normal cooler, because again, you're not filling it with all that ice. The second reason is the ability to control the temperature. Sometimes you want cold drinks after a day of hiking. Other times you may want to turn it all the way down and keep things such as meat or ice cream in a frozen state. You can't really get that type of temperature control in a traditional cooler. An additional benefit for me, and I know for many others, is that it can double as a mini fridge. Ours is kept plugged in the garage 24/7. And we use it to keep drinks and water and beer and stuff cold for when we're outside during a hot day and we want to run in the garage and grab something. So with that, let's get to the unboxing here. First, I'll tell you it came in a very large box, which is to be expected. And the packaging was simple and setting it up took no time at all. Inside the box was the cooler, some instruction booklets, the wall and car chargers, and something new this time, which I know a number of people, including myself, have asked for, and that were effectively wheel chucks that can stop the wheels from rolling around, especially when it's in the back of a truck or an SUV or something. I know a lot of us had purchased generic type wheel stops off of Amazon in the past, and those did the job, but it was really nice to see those included this time with the cooler. The unit came with one 288 watt hour battery, but it does have room for a second battery if you'd like to purchase an additional one. If you don't have a second battery, you can actually use that space to store things in. There's a storage tray that comes with it, and that tray perfectly fits the car and wall adapters nicely. One thing that is missing from this generation that I really liked in the first one was the removable basket that was in the cooling area. We always use that to load stuff up from our refrigerator and then take the basket out to the cooler instead of necessarily having to bring the cooler back into the house, load it up, and then take it back outside. Not a deal breaker by any means, but that was a nice thing, and I think it's worth mentioning that it's not there this time around. First thing I noticed when I turned it on is how much better this new screen is compared to the first one. It is a major upgrade over the original. Especially mine, where the screen over the last year and a half has degraded and is not nearly as clear and as sharp as it should be. This one is full color and can be seen in the daylight easily. It has adjustable brightness settings too. Like the first gen, you have a handle slash table, which is very sturdy. That's on there as well. And like the first gen, you also have a cover for the battery. This time, however, it's larger and it is attached to the cooler instead of being a completely removable piece. I like this. I don't want to have to worry about setting the battery cover down. It just hangs right there and then you can reattach it easily. Really nice here are the closable pass-throughs to access the USB ports, which is a really nice touch. I know in the past, people from our 3D printing community on the Facebook group had actually printed covers for that area to keep dust out. So it was nice to see Anker take the initiative and put those covers in this time. There's also an accessory bar on the front side of the cooler, which I imagine is probably going to be used to hold things like cups or utensils. I don't know. I haven't seen the accessories yet. I'm also sure that that same 3D printing community will come up with some pretty awesome uses for this as well. Like before, you can charge it with the included wall or car chargers, but there's also the ability to use a USB-C cable and a power brick to charge it directly to the battery as well. There also is a port for solar panel charging, just like on the first version. It's been cold and cloudy here, so I didn't try my solar panels this time around, but when it gets warmer, I look forward to doing that. Let's go back to that screen for a second though. It is a huge improvement. I can't get over how much better this is than the original one. Frankly, the first screen was unreadable unless it was in total darkness. But on top of this one just being easier on the eyes, it comes with a number of settings this time. Like before, there's your high, medium, and low voltage protection, which is designed to keep your car or power station battery from fully discharging. You also have settings for Eco, Smart, and Max cooling. The Smart setting seems to work just fine. That's what I use primarily the most. And I believe it's optimized for knowing when it's plugged in or when it's running on battery. A couple other things here. A nice quality of life, it's small, but it's nice, is the information about the battery on the screen. It will always show you the battery percentage, but it'll also change green if it's charging, and it'll even show you if there's no battery in the cooler. That's important because you have this fully enclosed cover this time, and you want to make sure you have a battery with you in there. As for the cooler's main job, which is cooling, it does a solid job. Anker this time has added a fan inside the lid to keep temperatures constant, and I believe it's also supposed to aid in faster cooling. Anker claims that it'll cool from room temperature down to about 32 degrees in roughly 15 minutes, and on the max settings, those claims seem to hold up here. I think this fan is a nice upgrade, but I do worry that it is now one more mechanical piece on a device like this that is going to be moved around and jostled, so I hope it isn't a failure point, but from what I see, it looks well built. There are also some questions in the Facebook group asking about maintaining a constant temperature, so I went and picked up one of those small digital thermometers that shows not just the current temperature, but a range of temps over whatever time period you set it for. And according to this thermometer, when I had the cooler at about 37 degrees, it saw a change of about 8 to 10 degrees in temperature, meaning that it could get as cold as 33, 32 degrees on the low side and go up as high to about 41, 42 degrees before it would kick in and start cooling down again. With that, I had a couple 6-packs of drinks in the cooler, so I had some stuff in there, so it wasn't just an empty cooler, and I observed that a number of times over the last couple days. Now, some people might get upset about this, that's too large of a range of temperatures, but for me, it's a non-issue. I can't think of a use case for me personally where I have to maintain an exact temperature all the time, and I know that a traditional ice cooler isn't necessarily doing that as well. For me, as long as it keeps it in a cool range or a frozen range, depending on the settings, that works for me. I've had this cooler running nonstop since I got it 5 days ago, and I can say it's worked perfectly fine. I've had no issues or failures or anything really go wrong with it. It's worked just fine outside the box. So, should you buy one? That's a question that kind of depends on if you already have a powered cooler or not. If you don't have one yet, I think it's definitely well worth the money, especially when you consider it can double as a mini fridge in your house or garage. We use ours all the time. We use it for parties, especially on our patio out back when it's warm. We've used it to keep ice cream cool for a neighborhood ice cream social, taken it camping a number of times, used it in road trips to keep leftovers and other food cold. Even used it for grocery runs on really hot days when you know you're not going to get back to the house right away. Not having to worry about ice on any of those is a game changer. You can literally take it, put it in your car, and be on your way. Now, if you already own a Anker cooler, one of the first generation ones, I think it's a trickier question to answer if you should go replace your first one. Frankly, it's not like your version 1, your original one, has become obsolete. It still cools, right? So it's still doing its job. That said, there are a number of small incremental quality of life upgrades that I think really do add up on the second generation. It's got larger wheels, it's got accessory storage finally, increased battery capacity if you want to run 2 batteries in there, and potential for future accessories. Of course, I'm big on that screen, and that's a huge win for me. So depending on what you're looking for, would answer if you think you should upgrade or not. Thanks for letting me walk you through this. My next video, I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison to my current cooler so you can see them next to each other in the same shot, what that looks like. We'll also see how it fits inside a few different vehicles that we own, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have. So thanks, guys, and talk to you in the next one.